and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. I'm here with Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Mike. Thank you very much for inviting me in.
Come in. Mind your head there. Come into the command pods.
Surprisingly
take a seat
low.
Anywhere.
Next to the thing with the lights on it, the box.
Yes, I wouldn't touch that. That's Paul.
Right. Hello, Paul.
And if the fluid, just stay clear of the fluid.
That's a lot of fluid. Okay, I'm going to sit over here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're told that it's perfectly safe.
Well, that sounds fine.
Be cautious. Dan is not our Dan. No. Dan is from the Danger Club podcast, which is a Pathfinder podcast. Readers, I know you hear us going on about Pathfinder all the bloody time. Well, we're going to go on about it a bit more. Dan, why don't you tell us about the Danger Club podcast? What is it about? What does it do? How does it work? Why should we love it?
Absolutely. The Danger Club is, I think, the longest running Pathfinder 2nd edition podcast, certainly in the UK. We started back in 2018. We were playing games in pubs around London, and people started turning up and wanting to watch us play games. So we thought, well, let's turn it into a podcast. So we did, and we've been gunning along since then. We switched over to 2nd edition when that came out in 2019. And I think we are currently on 350-something consecutive weeks. It's a lot of episodes.
That is an awful lot of episodes. I don't know how involved you are in the grind of keeping the sausage machine working week after week, but it is 350 is really going some. We're on 200 and I'm going to say 220 odd. I think this might be episode 223.
Oh, well done. It's tough, isn't it? Keeping the machine going. It's really initially we were kind of like, okay, we're going to hit every week, and we were full cast as well for the first, I'd say 4 years. We'd be going 6 years. I think at least 3-4 years we had the full cast of 6 for every episode. It was only sort of post-pandemic that we've started letting people, or started having episodes where we don't have a full cast. But we ran up to the pandemic, and we managed to keep consistency going up till that point, because we're new and you've got to keep stuff coming out every week.
And keep going.
Well, and then the pandemic comes around, and we're like, okay, well, we have time. Let's keep putting content out, and that's kind of what we can do if we can keep people smiling. I guess that's a fun thing we can do. And we start getting messages from people saying, "Thank you so much. This is keeping me going during a dark time," which is wonderful. But also, you're a bit like, oh, now we can't miss an episode, can we?
Now we can't
keep
stop.
this going. So we've just kept going.
We've never had those messages, Dan. We started recording in 2019, honestly, with no sense at all of what we were, but as is obvious from the early episodes, no sense at all of what we were doing. We started releasing episodes, I think about Christmas 2019, and so we only had about 3 months before lockdown, and then it became our kind of lockdown thing. It's like what we did. Yeah,
that time shocks me when I think back. Like, we were releasing 3 shows a week during lockdown because we had the time. You could do that.
We weren't doing that.
There was a time during lockdown when I was receiving emails and being referred to as a piezo influencer because we were putting out so much stuff, and I was like, that's a bit weird. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, what is a piezo influencer anyway? So you do Pathfinder 2 now. So you started Pathfinder 1.
We did, yes. Yeah, there was no Pathfinder 2 when we started. We thought about what to do when we opened the podcast. Should we do this Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that had sort of come out relatively recently? At the time, I can't remember when 5e came out.
14,
15. Blimey, okay. So it had been out for a little while, but we got into Pathfinder in the meantime because we'd skipped 4e. We got into Pathfinder 1st edition. We'd been playing a PF1 campaign off air for ages, and that was kind of the genesis. It was like, okay, along with everything else you have to do to make a podcast, I don't want to have to teach everyone a new game system.
It's like looking in the mirror, apart from the 5e thing. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, we're exactly the same. We skipped 4e, we went straight to Pathfinder. I've got the Pathfinder beta book somewhere.
Oh, that's an artifact.
Paperback. And I remember reading that and just thinking, this is what we've been waiting for, right? Because of all the disappointment around 4e and 3.5 bloat. We're tired of it. We want something new, but turned out we didn't really want anything actually new. What we wanted was something which was slightly new with a small n.
Yes.
So we played Pathfinder 1. We switched to 5e. We tried 3 rules. We thought, okay, here we go. This is simpler and easier to get into. It feels a little bit more old school. It's massively drifted from that now. When we're not recording this show, we play Pathfinder and other things. How did you get into? Did you play D&D before you played Pathfinder?
Yeah, I've been playing D&D since 2nd edition, like literally since I was at school. And I went through a phase in the 90s of playing White Wolf games, Vampire, and because it was the 90s and everyone was edgy, and that's what you play. And then
I wasn't edgy, but anyway, keep going.
And then I fell out of playing role-playing games for a while until I moved to London, and I met the rest of the Danger Club guys on an acting gig. We were all actors, just looking for something to do, so kind of after work days. And I said,
actors doing a D&D podcast.
I know, who'd have thought? That's it's such a unique thing, right? We were like, what do we do with all this downtime? What do we do after work? And I was like, well, I've still got some old D&D books. I could bring those in and we'll play a game. And I brought in, these were like the old 3.5 D&D books. So I brought those in and was like, we'll play one game with a bunch of mates. I made everyone's characters for them. I wrote their character sheets in pen because I was that convinced this was going to be a one-night thing. And then we just never stopped. And we kept playing for years and years and now do a podcast together. And it just kind of snowballed from there. But
once the hook is in.
You can't get away from it. But I got into Pathfinder just from going to, we're London-based, going to a wonderful shop called Orc's Nest in London. Beautiful.
Orc's Nest.
Wonderful old-school gaming shop. And I stumbled upon...
With the world's grumpiest people.
Absolutely, I love them for it. I stumbled upon like the Pathfinder books. I'd never heard of Paizo before then, and I found these Pathfinder books just because I was like, I wonder if I can get some more books. And of course, there's not a lot of 3.5 that you can still buy by this point because 4E has come out and they're not really printing it. So I was like, I started looking at the Pathfinder books, and anyone who has seen these things, it's not just about the system. The actual physical books for Pathfinder are artifacts. They're beautiful. The Wayne Reynolds art in them, the design of them, the equipment pages, and you just open them up and you're like, I have to play this. I want to hold that axe. I want a character that looks like that. They're just such gorgeous things. And I just started buying loads and loads and loads of these books. And so we decided that's what we'll do for our podcast. And about a week after we announced the podcast and launched it, they announced they're doing a 2nd edition in a year.
There you go. That was our game for, I'm saying a decade.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably. And still, I think our sort of D&D home, Pathfinder 1, I mean, we just feel like if we're ever going to switch systems, it just seems like we ought to do Pathfinder 2. How did that impact you, the switch of systems? Did you literally just roll the adventure forward, just convert the characters?
Yeah, pretty much. We've been going for a year. The idea of Danger Club in terms of the story is that we're going to play some of the really good pre-written adventures that Paizo produces, like with Age of Worms. Paizo write incredible adventures. Yeah, the work that they do on them is great. And rather than playing a set adventure path, which are kind of their like 6-part adventures that are meant to run for about 3 years, instead of doing that, we're going to play individual adventures, ones that run for like 3 to 4 levels worth of content, and we'll do a bunch of these, and then after we finish one, listeners can vote on what the next one is, and we'll put them together, and it's the same characters, and we just weave the story through it, and we're going to try and create our own adventure path. So it feels like a sort of home game, but it's not all homebrew.
Do you do work stitching the disparate adventures together to keep the narrative right?
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of have an overarching story that ties them all together. And what we'll usually do is once we finish an adventure, there'll be a kind of a homebrew story arc that bridges between the two of them. And those have gradually got more involved as the characters have gotten more detailed and ended up with their own stuff. So those bits have kind of become longer as we've gone through things.
That sounds like a lot of work, as well as you're not editing the podcast, are you, Dan? I can just tell.
I edit some of them. I edit some episodes. Colin, our brilliant editor, does.
Oh, I've met Colin.
Oh, Colin's, of course, you met him at Dragon Meet. Yeah, Colin's great.
Yeah.
And he has edited almost every episode of the main Danger Club show, and then I edit most of the Patreon shows because we have a second show that goes out on Patreon where we play other role-playing games. So I edit that one, and he takes care of the main show.
So how many shows come out a week?
It's effectively 1.5 shows a week now. So the Patreon show is every other week, and then the Danger Club is every week. It's quite a bit.
We've never done the Patreon thing or whatever. I don't know why. I do know why, because we're lazy old people.
We kind of had to, because enough people were messaging us saying, please find a way that we can give you money and support you or get more content. Sort of had to do it through demand. We put everything in place, and then lockdown happened. So it ended up dropping basically at the end of lockdown. it was the worst possible time to try and launch something.
Again, we don't get those messages, Dan. Please,
you will.
Please, can we give you money? Well, I don't know. We get very odd messages. We get very strange things in the post, which we squash into Paul's distended sack.
I can see some of them sticking out.
Yeah, be careful. Again, like I said, just don't touch anything. Wear the blue gloves if you feel like you have to pick anything up.
Thank you very much. I will. The messages from people are just the nicest part of it. It really varies as to how people react to them, because I like all kind of chat. I really like interacting with the listeners, and I'm a big fan of when people send us rules corrections, which happens quite a bit. Partly because these games have a lot going on, and I'm not the greatest.
Pathfinder is very rulesy, yeah.
It can be, and I'm not the world's greatest GM on rules. Knowing every possible rule is not always my strong suit, and the guys
it's like looking in the mirror
varying levels know their characters.
So your players handle all the rules around their characters. I mean, is that kind of how it works? It's like delegation?
Kind of.
Right.
It's certainly how Pathfinder 2 is designed. Pathfinder 2 is designed to be very siloed in the way the rules knowledge works. It's how it differs a huge amount from Pathfinder 1/D&D 3. In those versions, it relies on everybody kind of knowing every rule. Like a wizard has to understand how grappling works in Pathfinder 1st edition, even though they probably will never ever do it.
That dreaded flowchart.
Exactly. They have to have a combat maneuver defense score and stuff like this that they just will never touch.
Combat maneuver numbers. Oh my God, I've forgotten about them.
Old school.
No,
I'm starting playing.
Oh no.
I've just joined a Pathfinder 1 campaign off air, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't remember any of these things.
Your CMB and your CMD.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I'd forgotten. Maybe it's a bit of nostalgia about Pathfinder 1. I don't remember loving that or the...
No, there's a lot about PF1 that you're just like, oh my God, I'm so glad we moved away from these things. But the way they get away from that complexity and that kind of barrier, and 5e and Pathfinder 2 do it in different ways. 5e puts a lot more onto the GM in terms of being like, well, the rules don't really matter, so just make something up and it's fine.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It leaves gaps, and I think that's what attracted us to it when we played the basic rules. What's happened is, of course, that every single available space in the rules has now been wallpapered over with stuff. And the new edition, I mean, I've not looked at it in detail. One of our players, Johnny, has kind of run through it. He's like the most experienced of us, but the least proficient. He has run through the new rules. He just says it gets ever further and further away from the simple game with the spaces left in it.
Yeah.
My sense of Pathfinder 2 is it's like, there's loads of rules, and we spent ages making sure they all balance up and they all make sense.
That's kind of where I land on them. I've played some really good 5e games. I've really, really enjoyed it. Given the choice, it's never my game system for exactly that reason. If I want to play a kind of fantasy combat simulator, which effectively that's what these role-playing games are, you can do other things with them, but really what these games are is a set of rules to have you kill monsters and take their stuff and then get better and kill other monsters and take better stuff. Anything else you put on them is great, but that's what they're for. And I find that PF2 does it really neatly. There's so many times when I find a rule in PF2, and there's so many times when I get a rule wrong, and then I realize it's because I'm overcomplicating it, because I grew up in a time when these games were designed to be deliberately complicated to try and keep casual people out of them. And I'm just like,
barriers to entry. Yeah.
There were deliberate barriers because people back in the 70s were like that and didn't want people playing their games.
They did a very good job of that.
They did a very good job
for years and years and years. And then people came along and made them accessible, and now look what's happened. You've got loads of people playing them, which is the last thing they wanted. It's the last thing they wanted. All these meddling kids.
It's a strange thing. I have nothing against 5e, and what it has done for gaming is incredible in terms of bringing in new people to play. And I really love it for that. But I ultimately fall down. If I want something that's more freeform and less rules heavy, then I want to play a game system that is deliberately more freeform and less rules heavy. You know, I'll play a more one-shot, a one-page RPG. I'll play Honey Heist, or I love Delta Green with all my heart. Or Call of Cthulhu. They're rulesy, but nowhere near as much.
Cthulhu's pretty rulesy. Yeah. We've been playing a lot of Free League stuff in our non-recorded games. Alien, Blade Runner.
They're fun.
Coriolis.
Yeah. You played Mothership as well recently, didn't you?
Yeah, we played Mothership. Johnny ran Mothership at our last big gathering. Mothership is terrific. Mothership's more like the feel of Alien, with the brutality of it and the body horror of it and the relentless corporate nastiness of it, but you're free to go in whatever direction you like. And Johnny's report back is that the scenarios are perfectly put together, tiny little zine scenarios where everything you need is very concisely communicated to you straight away. You haven't got pages and pages of stuff to get through, and you're off to the races. That's enough of me talking about Mothership, you know.
The thing that gets on my back a little bit with 5e is this idea of every system is better if you transport it into 5e. And it's kind of this necessary thing that, okay, you've made a really good Alien game, but you've got to make a 5e version of it where you've got a character who's kind of a wizard, but actually they're called a android, or, you know, and it's like...
Well, that's the barrier to entry thing.
Yeah.
It's like Starfinder and Pathfinder, right? If you're going to build a big space opera game and you're Paizo, well, build it on a chassis that pretty much resembles Pathfinder. People will understand it. And oddly, they use the two systems to experiment with rules tweaks backwards and forwards, because there's stuff in the original Starfinder that made it into Pathfinder 2, and then now they're doing a Starfinder 2, and I suspect it will just go backwards and forwards.
I'm very excited for Starfinder 2. I've had a little look through some of the rules. I think how some of the Pathfinder 2 mechanics apply, I think they could work really nicely in Starfinder 2. I will be... like everyone, we're all waiting to find out what they do with Starship Combat, because that was a hot mess in Starfinder 1.
This was like a little opportunity to have a chat, Dan, and you can talk to our readership about your show. But we should talk about Pathfinder at some point. You should get another one of your players on, and I should get one of our players on. And we should sit and have a little chat about D&D Pathfinder. Readers, if you like the idea of that, email us at hello@billowinghilltop.com. You know the drill. Tell us if you'd like Dan and I to sit there and talk about Pathfinder and D&D for an hour.
Joy.
The emptiest inbox in history, I suspect, but we'll see. Dan, how do people find you? Where are you?
You can find us wherever you get podcasts, or you can go to dangerclubpodcast.com and you will see all of our episodes up there. It's got links to our YouTube, to all of our socials. There's buttons to subscribe on whatever your podcast app of choice is, and you can join there. And it's got links to our Patreon if you want to find loads of other podcasts where we play stuff like Goblin Quests and Delta Green and D&D and, you know, all of this stuff. You can find all the stuff there. But yes, look us up, Danger Club Podcast. On any podcast player, you will find our entire back catalogue on there.
Well, there you go. Thanks very much, Dan. Thanks for coming in. It was great to have you in the command pod. Thanks for steering clear of Paul there. It's much appreciated. I've got some of those little blue paper towels. You can
thank you.
You can wipe yourself down
leaking
at the end there. We've had all sorts of problems with him recently. In the brief periods where we can get him operative and playing, he's become very grumpy. Anyway, thanks, Dan. Thanks for coming in. Readers, I beseech, I implore you to check out the Danger Club podcast. If you like the Billowing Hilltop, you will like Danger Club. It's just a different system, but we all know that really it's the same thing. Ratings and reviews are always welcome. Throw us some stars on your podcast app of choice. You can find us on socials. We're more on Blue Sky now than the increasingly weird Twix, at Billowing Hilltop on Blue Sky. If you're old, you can find us on Facebook. If you're older, you can email us at hello@billowinghilltop.com. That's about it. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers, Mike.
Let's push on with episode... Oh, shit, I don't know the number. Hold up.
You've done that so many times.
Right. Hey, fuck it. Oh, no. What number is it?
Oh, man, you were nailing that take so much.
I can do this.
I know that
Let us push on with episode number 223. The Billowing Hilltop Podcast. Them Belly Full. Woo. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, hello.
Good evening.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with the usual crowd. The corpulent form of Johnny.
Good evening.
I'm here with it's now mildly stubbly form of Dan, who is growing back his mane and his pelt, but very slowly. We got the master of spider science, who turns out to be scared of spiders. Eusebia Spider Lucas. Olaf Hopperson, Hot Viking Graham. And no Paul, because Paul
heard what happened last time.
Has not been repaired.
Yeah, blue screen of death.
Yeah, we've got the blue screen of death.
Cranking the handle.
We've tried everything. We've even tried wafting some cheese in front of him.
Which normally works, doesn't it?
Which normally works. Depends on your definition of cheese.
Stinking
I
bishop.
don't call it cheese. I call it the product of twisted science. But yes. And it's not worked. He's just sitting there. There is the occasional of some kind of gas coming through his ectofluid.
We tried other forms of charcuterie.
We've tried everything.
We're waiting for a part to come in from Germany.
We are waiting.
It's quite a specialist.
That's precisely what we're doing.
Tool that we need.
It's the parts, you see. Difficult to get hold of. As soon as the part arrives, we will thrust it deep within his innards and hope to re-stimulate him. But until then, we play without Tim.
Who's Tim?
Which is a shame, because as we left things last week, you've approached this cavern in a spur of an area called the Wormcrawl Fissure. The Wormcrawl Fissure is the western extremity of the Great Rift Canyon that runs through the northern wilderness, and you believe it is the location of Dragotha, Kios's Dracolich, Lieutenant, Lord Marshal, Chief Dude, Rudy Giuliani to... Anyway, whatever.
God knows how topical that will be.
End of level boss.
By the time this goes out.
Well, by the time this goes out... Oh, by the way, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, really?
I'm feeling festive. I don't know about you. And any centipede, as Christmas approaches, starts to think about all of those Christmas treats.
Well, there's no shortage of centipede stockings, are there? Hey?
No, their houses are just ridiculous on Christmas Eve. You would know about this, Lucas, because you obviously visit every creature.
No, not everyone.
Okay.
Only the ones that are on the good list.
Yeah. Gets ticked off.
I would say centipedes are pretty naughty, to be honest.
Most of them get coal, but the occasional one will get 50 pairs of socks. So, sorry, we got distracted there. Scaly's about to be eaten.
No, he's not. He's got an Ort dice.
He's got an Ort dice, but he doesn't get a saving throw against this
Bugger.
one. Let's have a look at the situation. He is restrained. Anybody remember what restrained does? Because I don't.
Get no dexterity
Movement
saving
is
throws.
0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attack
Your
rolls
speed is
against
0
you
and
have
cards increase. Now,
advantage.
attack rolls against you have advantage. This is the bit that I was concerned about.
He's doomed.
So, what I'm going to do is make an attack roll. This centipede is going to try and eat him. I'm going to make it an advantage. What's his armor class?
Not great.
What do you mean by not great? He's wearing like the great armor of the scaly bastard, isn't he?
His armor class is not great.
Okay, well, let's roll. First one. You never know.
Well, that hits.
Okay. That's a 19. That hits armor class 30. Scaly disappears down the gullet of this creature. For those of us who are following the fortunes of Scaly, rather like a kind of endoscopy, he is blinded now and restrained. He has total cover against attacks and other effects outside the centipede.
Okay.
So hang on, he's blinded.
He's blinded and he's restrained. So he can't move. He attacks at
Can he cast
disadvantage. Attacks against him are at advantage. Don't think anything says he can't cast spells.
He has got Misty Step, hasn't he?
He's blinded. Other than that, we had this discussion the other week. I'm not going to enforce anything here, but it does seem a little odd that do seem to be no rules around how difficult it is to cast a spell. I think there's something about having one hand free somewhere, and I can never find that, by the way, when I try and look it
I
up.
don't know that it's in this edition.
It is weird, isn't it? The situation in which you find yourself never affects your ability to cast a spell, whereas it used to be that you had to make a concentration check.
Yeah.
There used to be a thing about standing on the deck of a rolling ship. That's the bit I always remember, the little image they used to use. I can't be bothered to look it up.
Yeah, he's dead. Just he's dead.
Google it, man. Google it.
There's casting in armor. Because of the mental focus and precise gestures required for spellcasting, you must be proficient with the armor you are wearing to cast a spell. You're otherwise too distracted and physically hampered by your armor for spellcasting. I think that's the only reference, if I remember right, in the player's handbook.
It is odd. It's poorly thought out.
Well, I don't want to punish Paul. On the other hand, if we're just missing something obvious, I don't want to have missed it.
No, it's in the components, right? Somatic components. The caster must have free use of at least one hand to perform these gestures. That's where it's listed.
And that's it.
That's it.
There's not even a sentence in the rules that says the DM may, from time to time, decide that conditions may make casting a spell more difficult. In those instances, a concentration check may be required. There's nothing, which is an odd one. Anyway, he's still been swallowed. Bye-bye, Scaly.
Hopefully
On 9,
yet.
it's Parker.
Right. Well, Parker will step up and will bash Greeny, hitting armor class 25.
That's a hit.
Doing 16 points of damage and a DC 17 Constitution save.
Rolling a 19 and saves.
And the second attack, again, another 8 points of damage and another Constitution save.
He's got a great Constitution save, but it's not that great.
Right, so it
So
is
it's
now
stunned.
stunned.
Stunned. Stunned.
Which
I'm ruling that peristalsis is not an action. On 20, top of round 6.
And move back up. Go straight up to 40 feet. Same height as Sessions.
Oh, you're flying with your potion of flying.
flying. Yeah.
The red centipede is no longer stunned.
The red centipede is now no longer stunned, yes.
A great opportunity here for the red centipede to try and eat the green centipede, whilst the green centipede has eaten Scaly. I'm trying to do a sort of Turducken Russian doll. We'll get into that in a minute, though. Top of round 5, I think it is. It's Burple on 20.
How wounded does this thing look?
The one that swallowed Scaly, not very wounded at all.
That was new, but it's stunned.
It's stunned, and Paul is going to be able to do a Misty Step, right?
Yes.
Or presumably he can now crawl out if this creature is stunned. Would he not be able to just basically extract himself
I don't think so.
from a stunned creature?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If a boxer swallows a fly and then you knock out the boxer, it doesn't become any easier for the fly to clamber back out of the boxer's stomach.
All right, I'm going to do a fireball to get both of them
On the two
centipedes.
What's the save?
It's a
We've got a lousy dexterity save.
19.
Okay, well, this isn't going to happen. Green rolls a 15,
green
still fails.
Green fails.
Oh, yeah, green fails anyway, doesn't matter. And red doesn't matter. They both fail.
So the damage
Yes.
is a
Yes.
remarkable 28 point of damage.
28 points of damage. That's
Misty
easy.
Step's verbal anyway.
I know.
After all that.
You moving? Perhaps? As you float there, you can see a spider just below you, about to clamber down into the chasm. It's on the ethereal plane.
I can see it, can I?
And you're
I'll
too
move
far
around
away.
the other side of the chasms to have a better view up north with my 120 feet of true sight.
You've got 120 foot true sight. You can see in the dark 120 feet, right? Okay, I've got stuff to tell you as you approach the cave mouth. It's a game changer.
Is it?
Well, depends on your point of view, but
Depends
I'm
what
saying
game
it's
you're
a
playing.
bit of a game changer. You can see Uncle Buggy. He's about 60, 70 feet north of you, but 100 feet down. I'm not going to do Pythagoras. I'm going to say you can see Buggy. Where Buggy is, the walls of the chasm climb vertiginously 100 feet. But what Buggy can't see, and you can see, is that there are two openings level with where you are into cave bits that overlook the chasm. To your east, I've drawn a little bit in, but your sense is that it goes further east. And to the west, you can also see that the cavern continues north of where Buggy is, continues to head off to the northeast.
I will advise Buggy.
Your sense, Burple, as one of the failures,
Yeah.
as I've described it, it's always been about where to place your feet next. It's not like a kind of detector. Well, it's like the divining rod is starting to spin in your hand. You could go north, but you could equally head into that western opening at your level, and you feel that either way would be taking you to your goal.
Tell Buggy to climb up.
Well, Buggy's ethereal, and Buggy's not conflicted in the same way.
No?
No, because...
Oh, I can just go any direction, can't I?
Yes, and also you can't see both turnings, Buggy, so
No.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
On 19,
Did you shout out Burple?
Yes, I did.
he just shouted, Burple,
I know, I meant,
Burple.
Burple.
And I'll go, yes. What?
No, that's me.
Oh, yes, I know.
Who's
Okay, I'm going to
this?
step away for 1 second.
Never you mind.
What's going on with the DM today?
Hmm.
It's shocking.
Shocking.
This thing is leading us to Rabadabadas, right?
Of the rubber-dubber-dub?
Do you know?
No.
It's effect.
You think so? I don't know.
Where's this voice coming from?
Down
Oh, there's a mouse. Tread on it. It's moving. Look. Python foot comes down, squashes you.
Yeah.
Big bee squashing
I've got
foot.
20 strength. I might be small, but I'm not very squishy.
Throw you into the portable hole.
Portable hell.
The portable hole.
The portable hell.
I'm an ethereal, you can't get me.
Magic missiles.
It's not going to do much against my vast number of hit points.
Dominate person on Bugraft.
Sorry about that. Right.
Do you need to see him?
I can see you.
I'll switch smoke on.
Oh, things have degenerated while I've been away. So, what are they discussing? They've been discussing
Something serious.
just arguing. Purple's going to do something awful to Buggy. Right.
But he can't do it,
But he can't do it. Okay.
because he can't see me.
Old person.
And I'll run up to him and bash him with my axe.
You can't see me because I'm invisible.
Bashy.
On 13, it's Scaly O'Toole in the belly of the beast.
Literally.
The belly of the stunned beast.
The belly of the stunned beast, yeah.
So in a weird application of the rules, he could attack it...
At disadvantage. He can, absolutely, yeah.
But it's stunned, so he attacks at advantage, so he would attack it normally.
So just a standard attack, yes.
And then, even though he's inside this creature, he can swing his enormous, massive chopper.
Yes, there used to be a rule about you could use a light weapon or something, but I think that's probably 3rd edition or Pathfinder or something.
It is. There's no description as to what you can't do. That's right.
Yeah, so he's just making a standard attack with the chopper of the What's-It, if that's what he wants to do.
We could do a couple of chops and then Misty step out.
Off you go.
I'm not rolling for him anymore, so someone else needs to roll the dice.
I'm
saying Paul,
I'm
I
here.
roll
I'll roll the
or
dice. What am I? D20 and then add
D20 plus 11.
19.
Okay, so that's a hit.
1d12 plus a d8.
Also, something that the rules don't cover well, Graham, is why is the armor class of the inside of something?
Let's say, yeah.
So, combien de damage?
13 plus, what's the damage bonus?
5.
18 points of damage.
18 points of damage.
And he
Okay,
gets-
well, you cut away at its innards.
Gets to roll again.
Okay, second attack.
Ooh,
20.
20.
Roll to confirm.
Yeah, you never know. Yes, you do know. You don't confirm, but it's double dice. So you roll 2d12
And 2d8
and
plus 5.
2d8 because it's precision damage.
So it's 17, 32 in total.
Wow, okay. That's pretty impressive. And then what do you want to do?
You can use his bonus action to Misty step out.
Is that what he's doing? I mean, he can't, but is that what he's trying to do?
Why can't he?
Well, because you can only jump 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see within range. Which I have known all along
Yeah, well done.
through our endless discussions about whatever.
There's a chance its mouth's open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in its
He can
stomach.
see out of its mouth to where he wants to go.
Anyway, now that that's not worked, anything else from the incredibly swallowed Scaly?
Okay, so he can't do that spell because he knows he can't see anything, yeah?
So what bonus action could he think?
Well,
Can he use a
he
bonus
doesn't
action
really have
to
any
try and
other
free
bonus
himself?
actions. If we'd read the spell properly,
Or at all?
well, I'd read that it only required a verbal component.
Can he do anything else?
He can
Is there any
shit
other
himself.
But it's
spells?
only got bonus action now.
Sorry, he what?
He can shit himself.
I was talking to Graham. I wasn't wanting you to repeat that disgusting slur. What were you saying, Graham?
He's only got bonus action left.
Oh, that's true. Can he heal
Lay
himself
on hands is an action.
An action.
even when he does it himself?
Yeah, that's a different rule set as well.
Okay. Yeah, I do that a lot.
Swift actions.
Yeah.
Remember swift actions? I miss old Pathfinder, I really do.
3.5. And I think that's a game we should play again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there was a...
Pathfinder tidied up 3.5 nicely.
Yes, I think so.
Kept everything good about it, but anyway.
Well,
on we
I
go.
think there's really nothing else he has that is
Nothing.
a
Okay,
bonus
so that's
action.
Scaly's round.
That was a mistake.
On 13, on the ethereal plane, at the bottom of the crevasse of death, it's Uncle Bucky.
Okay. I'm going to do a heal on myself.
Yep. Like the
70
full-on
points.
proper heal.
A
Yep.
full-on 70 points of damage, putting me back up to 166 hit points.
Yes.
Did Burple actually shout
Yes, I
out
did.
I don't know.
stuff rather than just his name and that he's going to do a dominate person on me? Did he
Yes, he did. Yes,
shout
he did. I
out?
told you. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I will float up, which I can do in the ethereal plane.
Yep.
I think it's half move when you go vertical.
It
so
is.
just
So
check.
you can move up 30 feet.
Can you mention this up?
Or do I want to do that? I'm moving 70 foot forward, but obviously if there's a big horrible monster there, I'm not going to keep going. So can you tell me what I see as I proceed forward?
It's a Medusa.
Ethereal Stalker.
Catoblas.
Gorge straightens out and then starts to head to the northeast, but it's very much more of the same.
Okay, that's my go. Fast and efficient.
Give me an insight check. Okay.
A natural one.
Yeah, you
but
feel
I
like...
will re-roll because I am a hobbit.
Oh, it's a 19.
27. Oh, is it perception?
No, it's an insight check. It's
plus 2. 21, that is.
Yeah, it's fine.
21.
As you see the fissure, and it heads north and then starts to turn to the northeast a bit, the weird compulsion is now telling you that that's probably not the way to be going.
Yeah.
You feel less compelled to head that direction. It's not miles off where you want to be going.
It's warmer and colder, isn't it?
Very well put.
This heads all the way back to the lands that wait, isn't it? Whatever it's called.
The
No,
fundamental misunderstanding of where we are that
completely different
beggars
direction.
belief, but no.
The lands that wait are in the direction of the Chili Lake.
Do you want to do anything else? Do you want to keep moving? Do anything?
No, that's my go, as I mentioned. Fast and efficient.
Fast and efficient, okay.
Or fast and inefficient.
Burple, you see the spider floating its way diagonally down on the ethereal plane into the fissure in pursuit of Buggy. But quiet.
Come and get me, you bastard.
On 11, it is Sessions.
Well, I think I will rain down lightning on the 2 centipedes.
Scaly has total cover.
Mm-hmm.
Green centipede.
Doesn't get a save because it's stunned.
Stunned. Okay, well,
Stunned.
failed anyway. Red centipede. Fail. Let's have the damage.
The damage.
I don't understand why Scaly is not taking damage here.
29.
You're electrocuting a creature and there is something else in its stomach and it's not taking any damage. Anyway.
Well, I think that's a DM's call, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's insulated.
And my call is, it's double damage. The stunned green creature is solidly bloodied. The red creature looks like it's just clinging on to life. Well, unlife.
So are you saying that Scaly is not able to wrench himself out of a stunned creature? Or are you saying that requires an action?
There is a rule that you've not triggered about breaking free, and there is a rule about what happens if you kill it. There's also a rule, which is much less friendly to you,
About bursting. Acid splash.
about worms.
He's immune to disease.
Sorry, Sessions, is there anything else?
Oh, I might as well whack green with the
With the
crushing coin.
Are you switching it to the green one? The one that's got Scaly in its belly, or sticking with the red one?
The red one's like it's almost dead, so let's try and hit the red one. Also, I think I need to use
not very well.
an action to move it, so I can just use the one it's already attacking. Ooh, 26. Is the red one by any
26 is a
chance
hit.
stunned?
It is not.
Then it suffers 14 points of damage.
You're nudging it ever closer to Centipede, whatever it is.
That's basically
Endipede.
That's basically what I can do. Well, no, you know what? I might just edge around the north of the cavern a bit more.
We've come to an unfortunateness. At the beginning of the centipede's turn, stuff happens to Scaly. The first thing that happens to Scaly is he takes acid damage from the digestive whatsits of this creature. It's not, whatever. It's not awful. It is 23 points of acid damage.
Okay.
I'm afraid there's no save.
Right.
The second thing that happens is just worse. He is infested with Chaos worms. He takes another 20 points of worm damage.
Okay, he's not doing great now.
As they burrow through his body.
The amount of cutting damage required to get free is equal to 1/10 of the creature's total hit points.
It's kind of useful to know.
A swallowed creature.
Where is that?
In
Is that the latest rule set?
Monster Rules, Pathfinder... it's Pathfinder. Fuck's sake. Stupid.
See, Pathfinder have a rule for it.
Pathfinder have a rule. Right, thank you. No, there is a rule. There is a rule. I've got specific guidance.
Okay.
I'm just going to roll the
Should
dice
I
behind the
come back and
screen.
help Scaly? Or you've got it under control?
Yeah, really not good on 9. Oh, hold up. There's the red one. The red one's still got a bit of life in it. The red one is going to swallow the green one. No, it's not going to swallow the green. The red one's got nothing.
Refusing to die.
Go for. Parker's flying. Sessions is flying. Burple's not flying.
Burple's not flying.
Can it see the pit?
Yeah, but it can't get to Burple.
Why not?
I mean, it can. There's a move, but that doesn't do
Yes.
anything for it. Might as well.
Does it know that?
As well.
Does it know that the pit's in the way?
It does. Oddly, they've been briefed.
Briefed by the DM.
Burple, this thing runs up to you, but can't munch you.
Okay.
It looks deeply, deeply ill. If it turned up at work,
I'd send it home.
all of its centimates would be like, Nero, you shouldn't have come in, mate. You're just going to make the rest of us ill. Parker on 9.
Okay, I will start by attacking Greenie.
Using the staff of what's it? Or the fangs of the thingy?
Staff of what's it?
So you're moving up to it.
Yes. Arm class 20.
Is it?
17 points of damage and a DC 17 Constitution save.
Fails.
Right, so it continues to be stunned. Oh, I was at advantage. Yes. Hold on, because it was already stunned, so I get to do a D20 just to check. Wasn't a critical. No. And then I will move over to Reddy, the red one, and I will hit the red one.
Nero.
Yes. Hitting armor class...
It's going to be
24. Yeah. So that's 11 points of damage on Nero and the DC 17 Constitution save.
It makes it.
But it's
amazingly
still not dead.
First save I've made tonight.
Still not dead. Oh, actually, hold on. From the staff of striking, I can do 2 more D6.
I'll take the piss, Lucas.
Another 11.
It's not looking well, but it's not about to give up the ghost now.
And then I will... The rest of my move is 10 foot up away from it.
Oh, I see. Floaty.
Yes.
On 20, it's Burple.
Right, well, I'm going to hit it in the face with the sword of Zosiel. In the face.
Hopefully you can finally kill it off.
Oh, I thought you'd given that up. Didn't you swap the sword
I thought
of Zosiel
about it,
for the
and I took...
The giant axe of what's
yes,
it?
But the giant axe is shit.
Oh, right. You didn't swap it. You just...
Well, I worked it. I basically worked it onto my character sheet.
Yeah, you switched. Yeah. Got it. 20 in total is a hit. 9
points plus... I forget how many dice it is now with my bardic inspiration thing, whatever that's called. Sorry, I have to look that up. Psychic blades, 8d6.
Ooh. This might do it.
21.
It's dead. You zoink it.
Got another hit.
With whatever power of Zosiel that you have.
Well, no, that was my own power, actually.
Well, whatever.
Oh, let's just put... Oh, well, I can... Hang on.
You can hang on? You can. Yeah.
Anything you can do on the green one is
I know. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I can't get to it. Oh, I could maybe. How's it looking? How wounded does it look?
Give me a medicine check.
Hold on. First of all, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You're just going to count.
8. So that's 8 squares towards the green one.
So you're running round the edge of the pit as you understand it. Got it.
I'm using my bonus action to cast Misty Step, which gets me the remaining 30 feet. Yes. And I have a hit left with the Sword of Icosiel.
Very nicely done. What a beautifully put together round.
It's okay. Come on.
Well, I've killed one. I'm going to have a hit on the other. Sword of Icosiel. I'm going to miss with this now.
You never know. Is this thing stunned still?
Is it stunned still?
Lucas? Yes.
Well, it's a good job.
Good job, because
you rolled a 1. So, you have another go. 17 is exactly.
There we go. Doing a measly 10 points of damage.
10 points of damage.
Oh, and where's the lightning come from?
I don't know.
Does the Sword of Icosiel do... It does. Extra lightning. Does extra damage. It's 12 in total. 2 points of lightning, 10 points of piercing.
That's a very nice round number that you've got us to on 19. Uncle Buggy. You hear the sound of something very large. You can't see it. You don't know if that's because it's round the corner up the chasm from where... Give me a perception check, Buggy. 18. Oh, that's very good. Okay, it's coming from your south and up. Burple has described that there are passageways leading up at ground level, 100 feet above you, on either side of the chasm. You've got the sense that there's a huge presence of something. Huge presence, like Christmas at somebody very rich's house. Moving and approaching.
From below...
No, above you. Above
me.
Yes. In the dark. Above you.
You mean like maggoty Augustus?
You don't know. Is it on the ethereal plane too? You just get this sense of mass and movement and threat.
Moving towards me, specifically.
Specifically towards you, you don't know. On 13, it's Scaly. Scaly, is unwell.
One thing Scaly could do is Scaly has Dimension Door.
Aha.
So he could Dimension Door his way out.
Yes.
I think that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, over to kind of the other side of the room or something.
It's not a room, really. I mean, it's very charitable calling it a room. That's an estate agent for you.
This vista.
I love the way they've brought the outside inside in this space. It's the bifold
How
doors.
long have you been a estate agent, Graham?
Yeah,
I wasn't
Graham.
aware that you changed career.
Let's say he does that.
Becomes an estate agent.
He Dimension Doors out.
Why? Why? Can't he use the front door?
Bifold doors.
Bifold doors over to sort of the other side because he can't see, so he go the other side where he remembers things.
In his mind's eye, he thinks of somewhere he can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, here's the question. He can bring his objects along with him. Yeah. What are the worms?
They come with him.
They do? Really?
They do. They really do.
Okay. It was a long shot.
If he had a tapeworm, it would be with him.
They're not disease, are they? Are they some sort of curse?
They're creatures.
Oh, but if they're creatures, then they don't come with him.
No, they come with him.
You can only bring one willing creature with you.
So all his gut bacteria is left behind. Is that what we're saying? No. We've had this discussion many, many moons ago. And your gut bacteria travels with you when you Dimension Door and or teleport. I'm sorry, it just does. And if you have a tapeworm, it goes with you.
Okay.
How are we going to get rid of these worms off him?
Can we remember how we did it before?
What did we do before?
We used,
do we doing greater
I'm sure
restoration?
cure disease worked before.
I think actually maybe we killed them with the spiritual weapon.
the blades.
You had your spirit guardians.
Spirit guardians.
Spirit guardians, yeah.
Maybe that would work.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Scaly, give me a
Greater
straight
restoration.
intelligence check. Oh. 5. Right. Okay.
I really shouldn't roll for Scaly, should I?
What about Urt?
Well, if he's still got it, he might as well use it. Someone else roll.
What, are we orting
Okay,
the
I'll
intelligence check? I'll roll it.
Yeah.
You're orting an intelligence check, which I think is the first time that
We've ever had to do that.
Are we sure about this? I'm worried about how useful this intelligence save is going to be in terms of information.
Is this something we knew from the last time
Saving
we encountered
him.
the worms and we all forgotten?
How many rounds has he had them in him?
Has he got 1d4 rounds or something, do you? Before you turn into a worm.
That's going to be it, isn't it? He's like one round away from the thing being at the base of his
I
spine.
love it when you fish.
Yeah.
Try and get around the intelligence check by just sort of leaving open-ended statements out there, hoping that Mike goes, yeah, I mean, basically,
Gotta try.
Could you turn him to stone? And turn all the worms to stone, and then we'll work out what to do.
No, I can't.
No.
Let's concentrate on the question that we have directly in front of us. Is Scaly going to use his Ort dice on the intelligence check or not?
I would have said yes, but...
Yes, I think so, yes.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Fight the battle in front of you.
Yeah, rolling. Oh, it's 8 plus.
What's that get you?
That gets you 7.
What?
It gets you 7.
We're all a bit dim in this pie.
And he's got
And then roll the
D10.
D10.
If it's a straight intelligence...
It's doable. It's doable. It's not doable with a 1. Okay, that's not gone well. So Scaly is Dimension
You can
Door.
use one of my Ort dice.
No, you can only use 1 Ort dice on a single roll, I'm afraid. So that is that. Is there anything else for Scaly?
Well, that's his action. I suppose he should...
What about time stop? Can you do your time stop?
He lets everyone know that he's wormed.
What can I do with the time stop?
crawling inside me.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
fish him out. and-
Just drop a fireball on him.
Well, in the same way that doing a lightning bolt on the centipede that has swallowed a Scaly
shit. Yeah.
doesn't do any damage on Scaly, I'm afraid that the worms have total cover. Right, on we go to Uncle Buggy on 13, deep in the gorge. There's something giant.
Sorry,
and
one more question.
Malevolent.
Does Scaly know how many worms are in him?
Maybe that was something to do with the intelligence check or associated information. Anyway, Uncle Buggy.
Well, I'll move south until I see something.
So as you head
5,
south,
10,
you can see the
15,
spider
20,
now.
25.
The compulsion is leading you up and to your west. You're heading up to the spider?
As long as I'm not seeing a massive Ooga star right next to me, I'll go up to the spider and bash it.
Yeah. Combat is as normal, is it, on the ethereal plane? I presume it must be.
I think it is, yeah. So I'll bash. Oh, shall I start raging? Yeah, I'll start raging. As a bonus
it's
action.
a bonus action.
Oh, shall I attack recklessly? This one's wounded, isn't it, this thing?
It looks pretty bashed up, this spider. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll attack recklessly. First attack.
Ooh. That's a hit.
32.
How much damage?
Bosh. 27.
Whoa.
Smack. You bastard.
You slice through its extended bonds and mandibly face. Ichor sprays everywhere, and it turns over
burns into your face.
And it plummets ethereally down into the grey, misty, ghostly darkness beneath you. Nice one, Buggy.
Yeah.
Now what?
Well, I've moved my max, and I've done my bonus, and I've killed something, so that's it for me.
Okay. Oh, it would have been the spider. Now it's sessions on 11.
Right, so I'm trying to remember now. When we fought or dealt with the worms before, and we used the spirit guardians to kill them.
Yes.
Were we able to kill the ones only that were outside the body, or also the ones that had burrowed? I should remember this.
I don't think we ever got to the stage of burrowing, because with the spirit guardians...
That's exactly right.
They were always killed
on the surface. Most of your interactions with these worms hitherto
have been surfaced.
It's been a long time since you've had to worry about them. They squawk onto your skin as a result of interaction with these worm-infested zombies, and then it's all about killing them before they get into the body.
Yes.
But we have had some inside people.
I recall it was a heal.
Oh, a heal spell.
I have vague memory a heal spell was the thing that did it. The other thing...
The sort of gouging them out.
Yeah, the other one was gouging them out. The third question I have, do we not have antidote potions? I worry that we were always in the situation that we've got some weird potions and we don't know what they do.
That's a good point.
And we always had the feeling that these may have been antidotes, but we never really bothered to... I don't know. I can't remember whether we had a conversation with Marcus Doombringer about this or not. We've been so bad.
But when we did a heal, it seemed to get rid of them, didn't it?
I'm pretty sure that the heal was the way to go.
So I think if Sessions went up and did a full heal on them, which also ends blindness, deafness, any diseases affecting target.
Yes.
Might a surge of positive energy washes through the creature.
Might be a good thing to do.
Maybe a restoration. There's all kinds of possibilities.
These are undead maggots, aren't they? Is there some sort of a thing that gets rid of undead, makes them go away, or?
Well, if I hadn't kept using Wrath or whatever it is, time before, we could have done turn undead on them.
Well, it healed you the job, Mike. Do we remember? Did we have some potions?
The potions have generally been bad news. You had some files with worms in them.
Yeah, but we had some antidote files, didn't we? We make some antidote.
I don't know that you still have any.
I'm sure
I don't know if you still have any. I mean, it's an action to retrieve it and all that business. But
I'm sure I remember Paul saying, I'm going to keep the antidote vial in my hand at all times.
Yeah.
I'm sure I remember him saying that.
I thought he said something about how he had the bottle, surgically implanted into the roof of his mouth.
That's right, and he just needed to crunch down.
And actually, he has to actively concentrate all the time
on not
for it to not empty the contents
down his throat.
Yeah, it's not even an action.
Yeah, it's just basically it's a free action.
No action required. It's like stopping concentrating on an anti-magic shell at an extremely convenient moment. No action required.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I will fly towards Scaly
a
little bit so I get him in range.
Yes.
I'll move to just sort of south of Parker.
Yeah.
And I will cast Heal on Scaly.
The theory being that heal spells cast upon the target of Chaos worms.
Yes, some sort of memory that this positive energy washes through the creature.
We've done this before.
We think we've done this before.
But we can't remember at all.
There are so many factors at play here, because there's your memory of what works, there's your character's memory of what works, but there's also the fact that we're not fourth level anymore. You're in the worm crawl fissure. In the same way that the worms are in the belly of Scaly, you're in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
And maybe the normal rules don't apply, and maybe that intelligence check was all about having an idea about what may or may not be the same. And so,
what's the answer, Mike? Before you sign off, what's the answer?
Well, the heal spell might work, right?
Yeah.
Or
does it work? Does the heal spell work?
I rolled a d4 earlier. That D4 was very significant. Super significant.
You can see where this is
I will say now. Because the next creature type is the centipede.
Well, can I give him his 70 hit points in case
the
it's
centipede
worth having?
round
It's going to try and swallow me.
Is the round where the Chaos worms act. So everything is hanging on whether or not this heal spell works. Well, does it work though? Does it, everyone? Does it? Hey? Well, we're not going to find out now.
Can I bash the fucker with my...
We're going to find out. We're going to find out if Sessions' last gasp, desperate strategy has saved Scaly from certain zombiness, certain wormification.
Just in time for Paul's comeback.
Or if
are you going to warn Paul that he might want
just
to?
In time,
he might want to roll up a character before he joins us.
Well,
next
there's that
week.
whole idea of like waking somebody up from a coma and then telling them the bad news.
Yeah. You're going to make him roll up a character by next week.
You could have got it right. You could have got it right. Heal might do it. You couldn't use a more powerful healing spell apart from the other one that Sessions just took. What was that called?
Mass Cure or something.
Anyway, we'll find out whether or not the heal spell saves Scaly at the last second, or whether or not Scaly is doomed to wormification when we pick things up next week.
Lovely. Sorry, Paul.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fisher and Age of Worms are copyright Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fisher was written by James Jacobs. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening.
In a world of heroes, villains, 6 British actors will come together to play Pathfinder. It's sort of like D&D, but also really not like D&D. Join Falter.
I immediately regret this decision!
Caragor.
Oh, I see you, Kenneth.
Velda.
Behold my arcane powers!
Shania.
Yes, I've cracked the case!
M.
Now I'll kill him.
And the Dungeon Master, for an actual play podcast that takes adventure seriously. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and from DangerClubPodcast.com. Danger Club, let's roll. God, doing that voice hurts.